etc. So I didn't realize that was happening.
Yes, I think we are live on YouTube now. From what I noticed before, when I'm seeing this thing that says setting up your meeting,
Mm-hmm.
we're already running on YouTube.
Oh,
So I'm pretty
okay.
sure that we are.
Yeah, I have a message at the top of my screen too. It
Okay.
says that it's being sent to a third party.
And then it takes like 15 minutes for my slow computer for some reason. And then I'm just going to share it to the, oh crap, share, not, oh, yes, now it's talking. Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I hate when I thought I hear myself. Okay, there we go. Share. Ba, 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 ba. Oh, there it is. Very easy. Boop, 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 boop. Copy. Boop. And then I can go right to our web page instead of having our Facebook page instead of having put it on. There we go. And I'll try to figure out a way to cut this part out of the YouTube in the future, but you all can talk while I'm doing this because we are live. How you doing?
We're just waiting on you, Axel.
Yeah.
All right. It was a wonderful episode. We are live talking White Lotus. Bam. Post. All right, now we're good. Let's start this podcast so the people on YouTube don't have to watch us do nothing. I'm going to hit record.
All right.
Welcome back, everyone, to the White Lotus. Today, we're going to be talking about season 3, episode 5, which is called Full Moon Party, little incest party. Written and directed by, of course, our showrunner, Mike White, which all of these episodes are written and directed by our showrunner, Mike White. You can find out more about us at dvrpodcast.com. You can become a patron at patreon.com/DVR. We're all patrons. Everybody's patrons. You can become a patron. Just like Gabby is our most recent patron. I like to shout out everyone's name. Gabby, Angie, hello again, Bobby and Ann. Hello again, Ricardo, Jennifer, Joe. Joe, we love you. David, thank you so much. Bill Cava, Grandpa James, all those folks out there. That's patreon.com/DVR. Join us. And we're on YouTube. This is being broadcast live on YouTube. We're going to try to do all our shows live. Pretty much they're edited live. What you hear is what we do. I very rarely edit a lot of the podcast. So we're going to put it up on the old YouTube. We already have some great new subscribers, some people who remembered Heath and I from the Lost Days. So go look up DVR Podcast Network, because there is another DVR podcast out there with a crummier logo. No offense to them. I guess that is kind of offensive. There's no way to say that's not offensive. I'm going to stop talking. I'm going to say hello to my two beautiful co-hosts. Hello, Jenni. How are you doing?
I am doing well. I'm excited to be here chatting about the White Lotus. I thought this episode was really good and very interesting, and can't wait to chat with you two about it. What about you, Gina? How are you?
Well, I'm doing well. I spent most of the week. So, disclosure, my dog is named Piper. So I spent most of the week saying, Piper, no, no.
I was doing her accent today when I was
Papa.
talking about it to my friend at work. Oh my goodness.
There was
Yeah.
a great clip of her, I think, on the Today Show or something, where she was doing her accent and she's like, tsunami, and she's like, no, no. So I just like, that was the theme of the week. Now Piper's all like, she wants me to pay attention to her. But
Well, my wife continues, who is from North Kakalaka, the same area, went to Duke, continues to just love these accents. Like she especially Timmy's accent, as I call him, Tim's accent. It's just got that that's kind of specific to a certain kind of area of North Carolina. And yeah, they're doing awesome. What an episode. Glad that we can all be here today to talk about it. Just want to give a heads up to everyone. We're also covering Severance. You can subscribe to Daily DVR. That's our master feed, or our Severance podcast. Only one more episode left there. And we've got what? Is it 8 or 10 episodes this season? Do
Just
we
eight.
have of the White? Okay. So we've only got 3 more episodes here. We got to figure out something else to cover. We got to look around and see what's up. I will tell you one thing, though. I do want to make an announcement. The DVR Podcast Network will definitely be covering the new Josh Holloway Duster on HBO, the 70s throwback kind of crimey story. We got to do it. It's Josh Holloway. It's J.J. Abraham's son. We got to cover it. But we're here today to talk about the White Lotus. And what everybody is talking about is the absolutely magnificent monologue that he's not my former coworker, but he worked at the same video store I worked at in New York. It was called World of Video. And about 3 or 4 years before I worked there, Sam Rockwell was the delivery guy for World of Video. He used to deliver videos to people's houses
Oh,
in the village in
wow.
New York. So isn't that cool that Sam Rockwell
Very
used, and
cool.
I've told this story before, but one time it was about like, I don't know, 9 o'clock or something, close to closing on a Friday. I think we might have closed at 10. And Sam Rockwell and like a gang of famous people. It was like 10 famous people. I couldn't, it was all these actors. Leslie Bibb was there, actresses came into the store. They had just had dinner and they were a little tipsy and they wanted to come into the video store. And Sam Rockwell comes in. The first thing he does is come up to me and he goes, "Hey, young man, what video do you suggest?" And I look right back at him and I go, "Well, Sam, you used to work here, so you'd know just as well as me." And everybody starts laughing and he gets a little like, he's a little
Pink
embarrassed, but
blush.
but then he goes, "The kid's right. Well, the kid, I'm not.
Aw,
I think I might be a little older than him, or he's might be a little older than me, but it was kind of funny.
that's
Cool
cute.
dude, and there were some stories of him. Sean one day could come on, but I think Sean said he wasn't the best employee. I think he used to just get high and ride around on his bike. But
He's 6 years older than you.
okay, so he did call me a kid then. That's okay. It's okay to call me a kid. He's 56, I'm 50. What an amazing monologue. I want to get right into it. I mean, we've been waiting for Rick to get to Bangkok. He gets there. We see it. It's beautiful. He meets up with his friend. I had no idea it's going to be Sam Rockwell, who is Leslie Bibb's partner, by the way, of 20 years. I don't know. Gina, how did this hit you? I mean, where do we start?
So, I mean, we've probably all known people who had some serious addictions, whether it was drugs or alcohol or whatever. And sex is clearly his biggest one, and a fetish for Asian girls. And it just, as he kept going along, I mean, part of what was so great about the monologue was also Goggins' reaction to it. He was
Yes.
just entranced. At first he's like, "Oh, really?" And then he just like was almost in a hypnotic state listening to him, because I think the way he rolled it out, it's just, he's like, "I took it as far as it could go." And the whole okay, so in some ways also I was thinking this could potentially be Saxon in 30 years.
I did not think of that.
I hadn't either, but
That's
yeah.
really interesting.
There's something about the Saxon issue and this guy that are related, and just kind of, I think, all the questionable sexuality that I think we think that Lachlan might be thinking about as well. Just where I mean, it's all also very existential in the way a lot of portions of this little show are, like trying to figure ourselves out, trying to figure out the past, trying to let go of things. And just how he was talking about it and saying, I could still never, I'll never get over. I wanted to know what it was like to be an Asian girl being fucked by myself. And so
Yeah.
that's why I dressed up and then
The
then he
deep
just kind of
shit.
goes on and on and on and I mean it was mesmerizing
It
and it
was.
was literally stuff I've never thought about before that I've never read about before and I know some very I've heard a lot of stories from a lot of people um and watched a lot of stuff but I was just it was and then he just like it's like he's like I just had to like let it all go and give it all, just kind of give it away. And,
Yeah.
he said, oh, it's so much easier being sober than being celibate.
Hmm.
And, and he was also talking about desire. And it was like he almost didn't have desire for anything, but he was insatiable with this one thing, but it wasn't like true desire. So almost like he was trying to find that as well.
Yeah.
And then it also makes you wonder about, he's become a Buddhist and Piper's a Buddhist and wants to kind of learn more and get into that. And so it almost makes you wonder more about her true backstory. Like, what is it really? We really don't know a lot about her other than she feels like an outcast in her family, which I think Lachlan does too. But I don't know. I feel like it's like the hub of a wheel, and there are a lot of spokes going out to some of the different characters.
Almost like a karmic wheel, you could
Yeah.
say, Gina.
I mean, and you could even say a spoke goes to Jackie because she seems to be insatiable for attention. She wants
Hmm.
attention. Like she wasn't even bothered those women were talking about her a couple episodes. She was just kind of like, yeah, everyone talks about me, she in the club, center of
Yeah.
attention, looking at egging on those younger girls, everything. So it's just, but I do think there's a very close tie to potentially Saxon and the the Ratliffs in this.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Very interesting. Jenny, what's your reading of this amazing monologue?
Gina is way deeper than me on that,
Oh,
but while he was talking, I mean, I was just like incredulous, like Walter Goggins' character seemed to be too, just like, wait, what? What? Did he just say? I mean, it's just like everything that came out, it was just like, oh my goodness. Like it was so odd. I think it's interesting what Gina was saying about tying things together, but the thing I noticed about Piper, besides like, I mean, I want to talk about her conversations with her mother and stuff later, but the one thing I noticed that I had highlighted 3 times in the notes was in the massive chaos that, because like this episode had a lot of chaos between the party on the island, the full moon party, and then the stuff with the trio of women and the trio of Russian
yeah.
men.
A lot of music too. A
So
lot of
yeah,
loud
it was
music.
it was like a lot of chaos, and it was going back and forth between those a lot. But like it would cut back when it would cut back to Piper, and they would even have some of the stuff with Belinda in there occasionally, and some of the stuff with Rick and his friend, or Rick just by himself, cut in there. But each time it's like Piper was meditating, and then Piper was
Yeah.
meditating
Yeah.
again. And then like
Hmm.
after the big old chaos, she was still asleep, or she had gone to sleep, and it was like amidst all the chaos, and then like chaos, 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 and then they cut to her meditating. Chaos, 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 and they cut to her meditating, and then
Hmm.
chaos, 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 and they cut to her
To her.
sleeping. And it just, I don't know exactly what that means, but it had to mean something, because it was so like, I mean, it was very obvious to me, like
Yeah.
when I was watching it the second time, I was like, huh, because it was really short clips of her meditating the two
Hmm.
Yeah.
times and her sleeping after all the chaos. Like you've seen all this, and it's like got your mind
Yeah.
running, and then just a short
She's
clip.
the
Yeah.
calm in the
Mm-hmm.
storm. There's
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
no tsunami is she's the one standing on the beach.
Mm-hmm.
I love all this stuff.
Yeah.
Like I said before, I've studied Buddhism since I was maybe I don't know, I think I got interested in it when I was like 13 or 14 years old. It sounds really crazy, but the thing that got me interested in it was G.I. Joe.
Hmm.
Because one of the ninjas in the comic books, they did a whole thing about they after Vietnam, they go, the comic books is much more like I would say tweeny adult,
Hmm.
and they go to Japan and it's after Vietnam and all this kind of stuff. So I kind of so I love, I mean, I'm finding so much in all in both in what you all are saying and what he's showing in this show. To me now, to me, this speech, first of all, was beautiful. And it was beautiful because it was so raw and honest. And when he talked about wanting to fuck himself as a little Asian woman,
Hmm.
he didn't say it. He wasn't laughing.
Mm-mm.
Oh.
His delivery was, this is my fucking story. I'm telling it. Like, I'm laying this shit down to you, brother. I haven't seen you in a long time. Obviously, we've been through some shit previously in our lives because you've only seen me drunk before, right? Like,
Hmm.
that's the kind of relationship we had. And now I'm just going to lay it down to you why I'm drinking chamomile tea. And it was absolutely beautiful. And it was about letting go of attachment. And for me, the entire speech had nothing to do with Sam Rockwell's character. It was all about Rick. He was talking to him about his obsession with
Mm.
killing the
Yeah.
man who killed his father. That's it. All the
Yeah.
sex stuff. See, Mike White loves to throw crazy bisexual incest sex shit at you. He loves it. He does it in everything he does. I mean, even School of Rock, if you read into some of the shit Jack Black says, you're like, wait a second, he shouldn't be saying that to kids. But I think it's all a distraction. And I think it's really just about letting go of attachment, letting go of anger, letting go of fear, rewriting your own story, allowing yourself to be the calm in the storm, not to be taken away by emotion and what's happening around you, but to take a deep breath, a level head, make a compassionate, empathetic choice that is beneficial to you and other human beings. And that is what he is saying. He went down this road. It's just like last episode, I talked about the story of the Buddha when he left his princely palace and went out and met a woman, and she was a courtesan, and they had tons of sex. And he had sex with men and women and orgies and all this types of shit and lost himself in it. It's not, that's like a little bit of difference. Like the Buddhists, well, once they go to be monks, they don't do any fucking, but they're not, it's not like, you know, our
But he said he was
religions of the
celibate, and I
book.
think he's letting
Right.
that go
Yes,
because
yes, yes,
that's
of
his yeah,
course.
that's
Yeah.
his
Yes.
addiction,
Yeah.
That's
his
the
obsession.
ultimate,
Yeah.
Yeah,
but
I think
that's the
he's
ultimate
yeah.
non-attachment, right? They
Yes.
don't
Hmm.
drink, they don't smoke, they don't fuck, they
Hmm.
don't do any of that shit.
Yeah.
But what I'm trying to just express, the sinful nature of sex is not on display here because this is not a Judeo-Christian
Right.
point of
Right.
view that he's bringing here. This is a
Hmm.
different point of view. So
Right.
he's not Jewish, Muslim, or Christian, a
Right. It
person
would
of the
be
book.
it's like he also gave up the alcohol and the drugs and everything
Yeah.
else.
Yeah.
It was just the hardest part of it for him, the giving up, because he needed to
Yeah.
give everything up
Yeah.
to be able to become centered and do the things that he wants to do and not be so attached, as you said. But
Yeah.
that's the hardest one for him, and so that's the one he had to make
Yeah.
sure he let go, I
And
think.
Rix is killing the guy who killed his father.
Yeah, because he
He's
wants
allowing it to ruin
his
everything.
father was a good
Yeah.
man. His
Yeah.
father was a good man.
Look
He's
at who
saying that. Yeah.
look who Rick attracted to him, Chelsea, who is the best person in this show.
Yeah.
She's such a
Yeah.
So Rick
sweetheart.
can't be a bad guy, right? Like
Right.
Rick could be a good man, just like what's her name, the woman
Rita.
Amrita, thank you,
Hmm.
who's having his
Hmm.
therapy with him.
Yeah.
she's saying that to him. You have this opportunity. I see it in you. And that's what his friend is saying to him,
Yeah.
honestly. And I've
Mhm.
had conversations like this with friends before. You know, I mean, look, if Sam Rockwell, as we well know, he worked at World of Video, and what did we have downstairs in World of Video? Porn, ladies and
I'm
gentlemen. So
guessing.
he's
Yeah.
we were a porn store. That's how we could afford to have the best selection of videos in all of Manhattan. Even towards the end, is the downstairs was primarily male gay porn, but you know, it went both ways. And we were exposed to all that. So none of this surprised me. My wife is looking over at me like, you're loving this shit.
It it does make me think that this monologue is actually based on someone real, though. Like through all his
It's
journeys,
deep. It's
it
Mike White,
and
maybe.
and maybe yeah, I was like, has he spent, 1,000+ days in Bangkok getting his freak on?
He's
Maybe.
pretty open about his
Yeah,
bisexuality and his
yeah.
journey through that because he grew up in a very religious household, though his dad
Mm.
was, I think, liberal. But yeah, so I think he might be telling his own story there, Gina.
In some ways too. Like maybe he's a little bit of Lachlan.
My son? Oh, in the show. Okay.
In the show. And
It's
this
getting too close to
character.
home.
Like
He never
there's a
went to World
little
of Video.
no, no,
Oh, that
not your
was
kid.
really beautiful. But
Yeah.
I think we've had a very nice discussion about this. If there's anything else you want to add, I was going to transition to the fact that he does leave him with a gun. So
Yeah.
essentially, he gives him this long speech, which,
Mm-hmm.
like I said, I really think is him saying to him, why am I giving you this gun? Like,
Right.
think about what you can. One of the tenets of Buddhism is to do no harm to everything. You don't kill bugs, you don't kill people, you don't kill anything. There's no reason ever to murder or kill a sentient being. So if that's where he's coming from,
Mm,
it's a little bit, there's no eye for an eye. So,
yeah.
though I guess in Cambodia they may disagree with me. That's a little different story. I'm not going to get into the history of that. But he leaves him with that question and that gun. What do you think he's going to do, Jenny?
He seemed torn because later on, when he's back in his room, he goes out, smokes a cigarette, pulls the gun out, looks at it, tries to call Chelsea,
Right.
and she doesn't answer.
She
So
doesn't.
I think he's torn right now. I guess we'll see. I'm not sure. I think he may still. I don't think he's going to kill the guy. I think he may half-heartedly attempt, but hopefully won't get caught if that's the case. But I don't think he's going to kill him.
Hopefully won't get caught.
Right. Because I like him. I assume you
Yeah.
guys like
Yeah.
him. We like
Yeah.
him.
Oh, I
So,
love him.
Yeah.
What do you think, Jenny? I mean, Gina, I'm
Gina.
sorry.
I do think he's going to go see the guy for sure. I
Yeah.
think I'm still a little bit on the fence, but I think this whole show, it's taken us a long time to get here, and this is probably what it's all about, is to kill or not kill. I think this is the whole, I mean, outside the shooting that we know takes place, the bigger story this is all leading up to is whether Rick kills this man or not. So we're on our way. And I think as the story's gone on, he's been taking a step away from killing him, like further and further and further. Because he even said at one point, I'm not going to do anything. I just want to talk to him a couple episodes ago to Chelsea. So I think he's gravitating back and forth. I think this was a big push for him maybe to take a huge step back. So, but now we have another person with a gun too.
Yes. Yep.
Right.
That's two
Yeah.
guns. That's a great
Yeah.
point. Yep. Two
Yeah.
guns. And yeah, I don't know. I mean, that is really the question here. I don't think any of us want him to kill him at this point. And I think Jenny, you bringing up that he calls Chelsea, we get that classic, she's looking at the phone as soon as she puts it down in parties. Guess what happens? He
Right.
calls. When you don't want something, when you don't desire something, it comes to you, right? It's not your desire that makes something come to you, it's their choice. and she's made a choice too. We'll see what happens with her and with him. I don't know. I get a feeling like ultimately he won't,
Yeah.
but maybe we will. I don't know. I also feel like maybe we won't even get there. I
Mm.
don't know. Maybe something else will intervene. I mean, the guy did go there for medical treatment. He might be dying anyway.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
He
Like,
might show up and he's already dead.
yeah, good point. I mean, he showed up there to only find that he was sick and had to go here.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's really interesting. But gosh, what a great scene and what I know that there's been complaints about the episode being kind of slow. I was listening to a Bill Simmons podcast. He was
Oh,
talking with this guy that wrote a book
They said
called
this one
like
was slow.
I
that this
know. I thought
season was really slow, not a lot's
it's been slow.
happening and
I
all
feel like
that,
it's taking some time to build up, but I
Yeah.
didn't. This particular episode
Was
was
not
not
No,
slow.
no,
slow
I
at
think they
all.
record.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, they recorded after this episode too. So I don't know.
Hmm.
I don't think the guy knew much about TV. So actually, Bill straightened him out and said, "Well, if you really go down deep into the show, there's a lot there," which I really agree with. I think that, and this episode was fantastic. Do you want to shift over to the other guy with a gun? We can just talk about
Oh,
guns to start off. Um,
guy talk. Oh,
Guy
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 talk
talking
and
talk.
Tim.
Tim.
Yeah.
Yeah, which one? One had it and let it go.
Well, first of all, how frustrating is guy talk? Like,
Oh,
fucking, come on, dude. He took a gun. Like, have some fucking fear. You know what I'm saying? Corner him in the bathroom and be
yeah.
like,
Right.
give me the
And get,
fucking gun.
yeah, but he's afraid to lose his job. And it's like, dude,
What's more important, though, at this point? See, that's another question,
everyone's
right?
safety is at
Yeah.
stake.
Well,
Like,
he's putting his desire above for Mook, right?
also, I think he's just, I don't, the character, not the actor. I think the
Of course.
character, based on the behaviors that he has shown over these 5 episodes, what he said to Mook and the way that he acted towards her, like he didn't have a clue about how to behave towards women and that he's not that smart and this and that and the other. Maybe he just, I mean, I think that he's afraid of getting in trouble, but maybe he's not making all the connections that him not reporting that the gun was stolen is going to get him in a lot more trouble than him whatever it is that he's
You're trying to
thinking.
say
He
he
thinks
ain't
he's
that
going to lose
smart,
his
Jenny.
job. He thinks he's going to
Yeah.
lose his
Yeah.
job, and he thinks that he can't be mean to this person because it's a guest. So he's
Yeah.
trying to do it in a nice, polite manner, and it's just not going to get. He is so
It's so
Pretty
frustrating.
frustrating.
frustrating. Yeah.
Very
Mook
frustrating.
deserves better. I
She
mean,
does.
it's like at first you kind of think, oh, maybe she'll give him a chance. But you know what? This guy just like screws up time after time after time. And he just has no sense, you know? You can't partner
I
up with
agree.
someone like that in life.
Yeah.
No, unless
Wow,
you want to be brought down.
she was so beautiful, all dressed up and
Oh,
dancing and
gorgeous. So
everything,
cute.
right? Like
And the
Yeah.
so
dancing, the dance was
beautiful.
so, and the,
Oh,
like even the hand
just the
movements
move.
looked
Yes.
so
Yes, I love
particular,
that.
like
I
you had to
love
have the
that.
fingers, and it was so neat. It was
Yeah.
gorgeous. I loved it.
Yeah, that was really
Mhm.
it with the whole perform I mean that's another great thing they're putting the performances in here. But yeah, Guy Talk, man, I mean, you know what? Dude deserves to be fired. Dude needs to just like I don't know. He needs to grow up, really. He seems just kind of naive and I mean, in some senses though, that can be a beautiful thing, but in this case it's not. He allows the robbery. It's just very, very frustrating the
Yeah.
entire situation. I just wanted to come because like my my life was watching too. Because I'm just, I'm such a fucking Jersey pain in the ass. Like if there's a line, I'm the guy who walks past everyone and goes up and talks to the person behind, or like it just frustrates the fuck out of me when people are so timid like that, especially when it's something so important where someone could get hurt, right?
Yeah,
Like
I'm like that
there
too.
was already a robbery, is what I'm
Hmm.
trying to say. Like it kind of annoyed me in that sense.
Yeah.
Like, dude,
In my,
it's not, you
oh,
already saw what could happen, and now another guy has a gun, and it
Well,
was not cool.
yeah, he's very complacent. And you know who else that works here who's also very complacent is honestly Fabian.
Uh-huh.
Oh
after
God.
this conversation with
The Nazi
Belinda.
in him came out. That was so frustrating too, right?
No,
Where
he
he was
only
kind of like,
plays a Nazi, right? He only
yes,
played a
I
Nazi. It's
know, but I
not.
said that too to my wife. I was like, see, I knew this motherfucker. But but it's that kind of like,
Yeah.
is he really, does he know what she's saying and he's trying to fuck with her? Or is like not taking her seriously because she's a woman or she's black or he's just an idiot? Or is it
I
just
think
he's
he's
an idiot?
I wrote that Belinda tried to tell Fabian about them. Granted, she's not being super clear in the telling of her story, but rather unsurprisingly, he's not going to call any authorities, and I bet you he'll be sorry. But I think that he just is trying to cover the
Oh, okay.
resort and make sure that
I could
there's
see
no
that. Yeah.
bad press or
While the
anything
boss
coming
is
there.
away, he's in charge.
He's trying to cover the resort. But remember how he says, we have a lot of guests with colorful pasts.
Yes, he did
What's
say
to
that.
say he might
He
have a
doesn't have a
colorful
colorful,
past.
right?
He might have a colorful past of his own, and the last thing he wants to do is bring
Is
any police
mhm,
attention
true
there.
I
that.
like that.
Which
See,
would also
because
be why he was so intent on firing Guy Talk before, because that brought police out.
wait, maybe he did the robbery too with
Mm.
the other guy.
I think
Wouldn't
it's those
that
other
be
two Russian
interesting?
bros, but you never
No, I mean
know.
all of them, right? Like they could have all done it.
Well,
You know what
that's
I'm saying?
true. They could all be in on it together.
Yeah, they could all be in on it. But
Little
yes, I
crime
get that is a
syndicate.
very good point. To cover the hotel, keep it copacetic, calm down. But that was frustrating too.
Yeah.
She it was so awesome the way she comes to just blurts that out. That's what I love about her character is there's no waiting around with her, right? Like she said what she said and what we as the audience wanted her to say, which is I know who this is. And it also helped us give a time. It was last summer, right? So we know that it has been that time. I like that. And she kind of lays out the whole thing. She was gonna give me money, but she didn't. Like if they could have showed us that clip before the season started, like to give us the whole story, it would have
Mm-hmm.
helped.
Yeah.
But I love that about her too. And then I love her getting sexy time with poor chai.
Yeah, that was so cute.
Yeah.
They were very cute, very sweet.
Hell yeah. They're giving each other some massages. You know that shit lasted like 4 hours with those two. They had the technique. Yeah. I was so happy. I was like, yeah. And I like too the way it was all, she was kind of like, you could sleep here or you could sleep over there. And then he
This room
sits
in this
down.
bed or that
Yeah.
bed.
But then he takes control,
hmm
right? And he
She's
goes
like, this
over
is
there and
consent.
he's like,
Do you guys
yeah.
do that
Huh?
here? We just started doing it
Started.
at home.
We
So
just
cute. She's adorable.
yeah. I was asking girls 30 years ago, is it okay if I kiss you? Anyway,
You were
that's just
ahead of the
nerdy me.
game.
Well, I had a little sister and I was raised by my mom. So my mom was always like, you should ask first. You shouldn't just do
Assume.
that. Yeah, you shouldn't just assume. So I always asked. But that gets a positive reaction because then the girl's like, yes, you know what I mean? And then, yes, you're like, yes. Anyway,
Yes
that
is
was
all
wonderful
around.
to see. Her son is so it also is like a very condensed amount of time that this episode deals with
hmm
because her
Mm.
son is still coming the next morning,
hmm
right?
Yeah, this is
So
like
that was
that
interesting.
night, like of the
Yeah,
day we just watched in the
yeah,
last
Yeah.
episode.
Yeah.
which was cool. I like that perspective on it. So potentially though, could Julian be working with Gary Gregg as well?
Julian.
Not Julian. What's his name?
Fabian?
Fabian. I'm sorry, Fabian.
It's like, who's Julian?
Sorry,
Um,
I don't
I'm
think
old.
so, but it is possible.
That's
yeah.
another one we didn't think of.
I mean, they were chatting it up at the when he was apparently asking about Belinda,
And
but
he
they may
knows
have been
if
talking about other stuff too. Yeah. I mean, we don't know what all was said.
Yeah.
right. That's interesting. I don't know because you've got to think. I know Solo worked at a hotel for a long time in the bar, and you just have regulars, people who live around, you know about them, you get
Mm,
involved with them, there's that whole life. They still haven't shown us. They're showing this stuff with Guy Talk and Mook, but we're not getting as much as we got in the previous seasons to really get to know the other people as well, like Fabian or whatever. You know what I
mm.
mean? Like, so
Well, I mean,
uh,
I think Belinda and Pornchire also are part of that
that's true.
because I mean
I
they're
guess they
employees
count.
So,
too.
I
yeah.
kind of see her as a guest. I guess she
I know,
straddles
but
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's oh, look what I just said. I guess she straddles it. Here I was thinking of what she was doing with Porn Shy.
Uh-huh.
I got too much Porn Shy on my
wow, chicka,
mind.
wow, wow.
He has a big smile. He had a big old smile too. He was
He
like,
did.
uh-huh. Yeah. Anyway,
They're so cute.
okay, so I'm trying not to talk about the incest, but I guess at some point, we've got to get to, you want to, oh, one thing we didn't talk about is we did talk about the other gun from Guy Talk's perspective, but we didn't talk about it from Tim
Tim's.
Timmy's perspective, where
Right.
he's stopped from killing himself. He just lies to Guy Talk, which that didn't surprise me at all. He's totally zoned out.
Right.
What's he gonna do?
I mean, it would be funny if that gun wasn't even loaded.
That gun looks very small. It looks like it's
I like that.
probably a 22, which
Damn, Jenny
um
knows guns.
I don't know guns. I mean, I have a 9 millimeter. I do own
Oh,
a gun,
oh, I do not.
but it looks very small. It's probably a 22. It might be something in between, but if it's that small, there's a chance even with shooting yourself in the head
You'd live.
that you'll live because it's a very small caliber that doesn't and your skull is very thick. So if there's a good chance it could
Well,
ricochet and you
that's true.
not die. So
Yeah.
um that's what I was thinking every time I saw him with it. I was like, that gun is so little.
Oh, you thought, oh,
Like
that's
I
interesting.
don't know that he would even necessarily be successful with it.
Right.
Yeah. Or like Gina said, maybe it's not even loaded.
Right.
Yeah.
Or it
He
might be
just
loaded
took
with
the gun.
blanks because he wanted him to take it out to practice, remember?
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know. I thought the whole scene that was great acting too.
Yeah.
And even though I did have my Schadenfreude of seeing a rich prick get his comeuppance, it was emotionally upsetting, and he really brought it home. And then Piper and getting interrupted by his
Tim,
wife. Yeah,
what's
Timmy.
wrong?
It was affecting as well. I didn't want him to shoot himself at that point. I didn't want that to happen.
Yeah, it was weird because, if we go back to even with the conversations they were trying to have, well, I mean, Piper was trying to have the conversation about staying in Thailand, which we haven't talked about that yet either. But when Victoria tried to bring Tim in and he was like so lost, and then
Mm,
uh she tried to bring him in again, and then later on she's going on and on about when they're getting ready for bed, and he's laying there in the bed, and she's going on and on about what will people think, they'll think we're bad parents and all this stuff, and he's laying there and he's like he says I wouldn't worry about that, and she goes on, and then oh, what did she say to him? I gotta get down to that
Oh,
part.
this was the Clintons thing, right?
No, that was earlier on.
Oh, okay. We got to talk about that.
Yeah, we
yeah.
do.
That
Uh,
was funny.
Tim tells her not to worry about that, and she says, "You can do everything right, you can do everything right, but still at any
That was good.
moment something could come along and
It's
upend
true.
everything." Anyway, I didn't do that very well, but
You did. You did. That was good.
it was funny because that line, like, she's talking about Piper, of course, but he's laying there and he's thinking, well, I did
Right.
everything right. And,
Yeah.
and now everything's coming along, it's getting turned upside down and I'm losing everything and whatever. And, then after that, he goes out and tries to do the shooting of himself, but is unsuccessful because she interrupts him.
And then tells him he's been successful at everything he's
I
ever
know.
done.
You've
The
already
irony,
succeeded in every way.
including in fucking up big time, but you don't
Yeah.
know it yet.
Just the opposite of Bill and Hillary Clinton.
Oh, they're
That
such
was so
bad people. How could we
ridiculous.
They're
ever be like
horrible.
them?
It's
Uh,
just
Oh,
ridiculous.
wait, did she say earlier? She said, they'll think we're people like the Clintons or something. They'll be,
No, so it
no.
was when she was talking to Piper and she's like telling her she's not a Buddhist and all that stuff and then
you're
Piper
not a
goes
Buddhist.
to get the book and shows her the book and then
Oh,
after
that's
she shows
right.
her the book or before she shows it to her she's like lots of people have written books.
Books.
Charles Manson
Charles
wrote a book.
Manson. Hillary
Bill
Clinton wrote
Clinton,
two. Right.
five.
she
Five.
says she
He wrote
says
five
so
books.
Charles Manson wrote books, Bill Clinton wrote books,
Hmm.
the list goes on. Hillary Clinton wrote 5 books.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
Meanwhile, they probably
ridiculous.
voted for Bill Clinton. Um,
He doesn't look normal. He looks like a Hare Krishna.
he
I
looks,
mean,
God, it's amazing.
she and then she thinks
Oh, I
that
love
she's
it.
going to live in Taiwan.
Taiwan.
Yes, that
I
was
mean,
the
Oh my
funniest
you're
part.
not Chinese.
Wait,
Like, you
I
know,
Oh,
oh my
paused. I
Jesus.
goodness.
paused the show and I said to my wife, "Does she think they're in Taiwan? She doesn't even know what fucking country they're in. Like, no wonder she needs her pills.
Honey,
That
you're not
whole
from
thing.
China.
She is. Oh my! What acting! And having lived in Durham, Chapel Hill, Carver, that area for like almost 10 years, holy cow, that was so like you know. Oh boy, that was really
Mhm.
good. That was fucking hilarious. Yeah, so yeah, when Piper comes out and tells him she does not have a good reaction, but she says after I graduate, so she wants to go home and come back,
Yeah,
right?
that's
Yeah.
apparently her
Okay,
plan. But also,
because
it's
Daddy might need to stay.
it's been interesting because this episode we finally got to see probably a little bit of what Victoria is actually like unmedicated. Now she's
Yeah,
drunk
yeah.
Hmm.
for at least part of it. I mean, she may not be drunk through the entire episode, but she isn't medicated and this is why she medicates herself so she doesn't have to deal with the emotions of things like this upsetting her because she doesn't want to think about her daughter leaving society and going to live in a third world country or whatever she considers it and what everyone's going to think and that's all she's thinking about. She's not even recognizing that Piper's her own person. She's, I think they see all three of their children as extensions of themselves. I mean, more so than most parents do because of how connected they are with they need to go to this school, they need to go to that school, and we're going to fight over the third one because he can't go to both schools, or maybe he can. I don't know, but it's crazy. I don't know. I thought it was interesting though, seeing her be a little more lively and not so
Yeah, I
sloshy in the
like that.
pillows.
Jenny, you're right, because he took all her fucking pills. They swapped.
Yeah,
This I find this to be very interesting too, that
Yeah.
they
yeah,
swap. There's a little bosom shit there too. Their duality is
yeah.
going back and forth, right? And then you also can see maybe like we talked about last episode, there's more to her, and maybe she knows more, has more control than perhaps we think, or has a past that maybe we don't quite know
Can we
about.
talk about this past? Because I have a theory.
Oh, I love it.
So, and this stems back to that meeting she had with Kate, where Kate,
Yeah,
she
yeah.
didn't seem to
Oh yeah,
remember
yeah.
her.
Mm-hmm.
There were a couple of pieces of information and just behaviors that came out with Kate this episode that have me wondering. The two girls took ballet. She played softball, which is a stereotype. usually lesbians
Oh,
softball.
yeah. Hmm.
And she was very much like, I don't want to be around these men. Like, let's go home. And even when they're back at the thing, she's there
Oh,
in her pajamas, kind of observing everything like
I
one of the
like it. A
monkeys.
Trump lesbian.
Very, very like kind of just,
But closeted.
yeah.
Yeah.
And, she's really kind of, and I think there are a lot of women and men who find themselves in these very conservative lives
Well,
when
definitely.
deep down they are conservative because they are trying to resist their true selves, right? And so it almost makes me wonder because the way she said, we spent the whole weekend together, like at a baby shower.
Oh.
Maybe
Mm-hmm. It
that encounter was
was a different
different.
kind of shower.
Maybe
Well, it
something
might have
else
been for a weekend of a baby shower for some
Yeah.
bougie people, but like,
They
they
had a
yeah, if
bonded in
connection.
a
they spent
way.
the weekend together,
Yes.
maybe they had a special connection, and Victoria wants to just forget about it because it was 10
Yeah.
years ago or
And
whatever.
I'm not saying they totally hooked up, but
Right, right,
maybe there was
right.
a
Yeah.
kiss. We do know that Victoria's like very kind of, I don't want to say, well, kind of like loose when it comes to like the crude jokes. Like she always laughs at Saxon. We know this family is like kind of messed up sexuality
Yeah.
wise,
Yeah.
in varying ways. Piper supposedly doesn't have it. Saxon can't get enough. Lachlan is confused. Maybe mom's a closet lesbian. I don't know, but there's something there might be something there. It could just, it was
I
just
like it.
just a theory, but I was like, what's happening? The softball? She's like so does not want to be around these guys right now.
It
You know?
the
Yeah.
the late in life lesbian is a thing, right? And as a woman too, you may want to have a family. You may want to
Yeah.
experience that,
Yeah.
have children, have a husband. And then at a certain point, you realize I want what I want to be is with a woman. And it doesn't mean it might not even actually mean they're hiding it. People make their own
Right.
choices. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? People make
Hmm.
their own choices. There are plenty of people who want to be married and have a kid, but also they have their, I'm going to use this word again, dalliances. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
that's between them, their partner in the world, what not the world. You know what I mean? That's their
Yeah.
choice. So
Yeah.
I think it's very interesting too. And it would be so Mike White to have the two conservative women having hooked up in the past.
Yeah.
Come on. Yeah,
Well,
that's like a
yeah.
cha-ching. He's writing that and he's like, ha 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 ha. I love it because this is so true because you see it everywhere. Of course. Come on.
Yeah.
That is so typical
Yeah.
that the conservative person is actually gay. That is no way a myth. That
Yeah.
is 100% what attracts a lot of people who are insecure or don't understand their sexuality, right? Who are
Yeah.
trying to figure it out and are around that. That a lot of times they're attracted. Look at the priesthood, right? Like that attracts men who have issues where they're just trying to figure out with their sexualities, they're uncomfortable with it. They're offered an opportunity to pretend like it doesn't exist and they take it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you don't have to figure it out. It makes it easier. So I think in both those cases that would be interesting. I did think that um, her behavior throughout the whole time, where the other two women were really letting loose. I mean,
Right.
like you said, with Jacqueline, it was all about the attention, which for me was interesting because when she was when she was dancing with the guy and looking over at the young Russian women, it didn't click with me that that was their man.
Oh, it did with me.
Okay, I thought that she just wanted other people to look at her and adore her
No,
in
I think
such a
she
way.
I thought she
It was a
clocked
little
that
both.
those women were
Okay,
watching
I didn't
and
get that.
talking
It
about
took me
those
until the
men,
fight happened. Okay,
but
that's
I don't
interesting.
know
Yeah.
that I read it that way, so I
Well,
wasn't
you
surprised when
know,
it came up.
Jenny's like, I've been there before.
Not
You
necessarily, but I
know,
know
let my
women.
man talk to three
I know
women.
how some women are anyway.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I thought it was just that she wanted these three hot young women who maybe she was attracted to too. I wasn't sure at that point. I was thinking maybe she's trying to invite them over. Um,
I think it
to
was more of a look at me with these suddenly
yes,
young men, and I
that's what it
still got
was.
it. You
And it was
young
because in
little,
the end,
yeah,
what does she do? She brings back the guy she was pushing on her friend the whole time
yeah, she
just to
brings back
fuck her over.
Valentine to fuck
Yep,
him to fuck her friend over, as you said.
exactly. That's
yeah,
what
Yeah,
it was
that's
all about for her. It was about my young husband's not answering my FaceTimes. My friend is getting attention from this guy and took her shirt off, which was the best part of the episode for me. I'm not ashamed in saying that. Then uh she goes and fucks him, right?
yeah,
And I was like, that's fucking low. That's like
yeah.
mhm.
low.
It was pretty low.
I could have done
So low.
without Vlad and his little Vlad.
Is Vlad dance?
Yeah.
I
She's like,
mean,
whoa, whoa. Now,
it's
ladies,
like,
I've been
oh,
there, but still watching it live in that perspective was interesting. No, that was so funny. She was so acting, right? It was so the
yeah.
whole thing, even between them in that moment, I felt as if they were outside of themselves, watching themselves do this. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
The other
Like,
two.
right, like even when they were having sex with each other, they weren't feeling it or thinking about the person. They were like watching themselves have sex with someone, just exact way that Sam Rockwell explained it.
Mm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Because it
yeah.
wasn't about being with the other person, it was self gratification, right? With
Mhm.
a person
Yeah.
that other people judged to be
Desired.
worthy and
Yeah.
desired.
Yeah.
That's some deep shit right there.
Hmm.
I like it.
Yeah.
All right, now let's talk about two brothers kissing each other.
Okay, so when you pushed the YouTube button earlier, I was starting to tell you guys when I watched this the first time, I was guilty of looking at my phone and watching and looking at my phone and watching. So I had not clocked that the boys had asked the C squared to kiss each other, and
Yes,
then
yeah, that was the
Chloe
impetus.
asked or told the boys to kiss. I had not seen her do that. And
Okay.
I thought that Lachlan just like without consent or anything, just like went in on his brother because I didn't even see the
Oh,
peck first. I saw
no.
the big old kiss and I was like,
Well,
this is so wrong. But it
you're not
still is
wrong
wrong.
though,
It
Jenny. I
still
don't
is
know that.
wrong, but
Yeah,
at least they were like playing a game
they
and it was a
Right.
thing
were.
that like they were
Yeah.
encouraged, and the girls after the little peck they were like, no, that's not enough. So yeah, Lachlan definitely went for it. And I think I tie it back to something he had said earlier in the episode, but the look on Saxon's face afterwards, like he was just dumbfounded. And then
What's
Lachlan's
happening
face
inside?
also, he looked like very pleased with himself. But
Mm-hmm.
earlier in the episode when he was drinking, I think it was when Saxon had asked him to slow down because he wanted the girls to get messed up and have them be on their game or whatever. And what's his face? Lachlan. Sorry, my my brain is there's too many names. Uh, Lachlan had said something to him. He said, dude, I'm a senior, bro. And Saxon says, yeah, in high school. And he cackles. And Lachlan, and I wrote, looking like he's joking, but I believe he's dead serious. He says, one day I'm going to take you down. And he says it in a lighthearted manner and
Oh, but
but I think he was dead serious. And then Saxon's like, yeah, come here. And he forcefully pulls Lachlan in and starts like giving him noogies on his head and kissing his
Mm-hmm.
head and whatever.
Uh-huh.
So I think that like I tie those two scenes together because I feel like Lachlan wanted to do that anyway. But
Mm.
like the fact that he had the opportunity to do it in that rough shod manner and surprise his brother with it was like chef's kiss for him.
Ah,
It
that
was
was, he took
creepy.
him down.
Yeah,
He
a little
took him
bit.
Well,
down.
But
That
he
was
didn't
I
it.
take him
think
down
it's
the way he's going to take him down later at some
yeah.
point later. But I think
I
that this was like his first little step. Like, look, you are not going to be in control.
Oh, okay.
yeah.
That's what I mean. But that's what you mean by take him
Hmm.
Like
downtown.
destroy him. Well,
Hmm.
Oh,
no, I
destroy
think
him.
Yeah,
destroy him.
yeah,
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh,
really?
totally. Oh, yeah. After being bullied by this
Really?
asshole for years,
Yeah.
totally.
Oh yeah.
Okay. So you think this
Gina,
is a long
we are
con?
simpatico. We
Oh,
are
yeah.
on the I
Okay.
don't think it's a con. I think it's just a plan. Like I
Yeah.
think he's just
Well,
and
okay, but he
I don't
is.
think he's necessarily like mean-hearted. I think he just is like, you know what? You're a shitty human, and even though I'm a people-pleasing person
Yeah.
and I want to like have everybody like me, like you're not going to keep abusing me for all
Yeah.
these years and not get some back.
Wants to
Okay.
humiliate him in some way,
Yeah.
probably,
Well,
which would probably destroy him because he's so proud and
would
Fragile.
arrogant.
would it
Yeah.
not be humiliating to control him sexually?
It would be.
Hmm.
And then to tell
So
your parents
right.
that your big
That's what
brother just
I
did bad things to
yes.
you.
I think we're talking about the same thing,
Yeah.
but we're looking at it from a different angle or perspective, which is that I love the what you said about control, right? Because that's what it's about. And I think that maybe Lachlan will surprise us in the fact, as he did here, which is initiating this kiss. And Jenni, I don't think you were 100% wrong because, in a sense, um, Saxon looked like he was so fucked up
Oh,
that
he
it
was.
was like he grabbed him and did it.
Yeah.
It might as well have been that. The precursor of the girls kissing at that point had kind of worn off. And I think he did the little peck and he was like, it was over. And then he
Mhm.
grabbed him. And I think that type of control, that's like a cool Mike White thing too. Whereas Lachlan may, you know, he might look down thinking it's one of the girls and he ends up seeing you know, his
Oh,
dick is in his brother's mouth. You know what I'm saying, folks? Like all of a sudden the bro is taken over and then using that against him to gain power over
yeah.
him,
Yeah.
right? And I like you talk all this sex shit. You talk about fucking and getting girls and doing this. Well, guess what, motherfucker? I got you, right? Like I right? Like I
Yeah.
control you now and
Oh,
you're uncomfortable now, not me. So I don't know if I see it as much of a bullying thing
no,
as
I
much as
meant
he's
that Saxon has been bullying
Yeah.
yes,
Lachlan
I
for
no, no, I
years.
know.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I see it as much that Lachlan sees it that way. More so, he sees the power dynamic that also actually, in effect, dominate his father and his brother's lives. Power, right?
Yeah.
So Lachlan might end up being a bit more like his brother. He thinks he's controlling his brother, but really what he's doing is succumbing to that same
For the
game
family
that
dynamic.
his
Yeah.
father and brother play.
Well, and it could be both, right? Bullying can someone can create this
Yes. No, you're
persona.
right. You're right. You're
So
right. You're right. Yeah,
I,
wow, that's some deep shit, but God, that was uncomfortable to watch.
I knew it was going to happen, so I don't think I was uncomfortable. I think I was just like, there it is. There
Yeah.
it is.
I got used to Jamie and Cersei, but you know,
I know. Seriously,
Oh,
I get it. I
right?
think the same thing. I'm like, at least that's like a fantasy world. This is
I
like a
never
real
got used
world.
to, and I have to say, I was on John's side with the John and Daenerys thing. I was like, nah, Auntie, I'm out. That kind of, because she knew that's why there was a domination involved there on Khaleesi's part, and that was uncomfortable. You know, it was like the boss,
Hmm.
mm,
but it wasn't that way with Jamie and Cersei, really. Even though actually it may have been Cersei that initiated it, if I remember. I don't remember.
I'm
They
pretty
talk about
sure,
the
yes,
books.
it was
Yeah.
Cersei.
Okay. The book and the
Yeah.
TV show might be differently. All right. Hey, if you're interested in that Game of Thrones chat, check out all the episodes of Podcast Winterfell where we cover every fucking second of Game of Thrones that ever existed and all the theories and all that crazy shit. Podcast Winterfell, plug it. And by the way, speaking of the Clintons, Gina and I covered impeachment, American Crime Story, and we still get tons of listeners for that shit
I
all over the
love
world,
it.
Gina.
Do you
Oh,
really?
All over the
amazing.
I
world.
was on one of those episodes
Yep.
That's
too.
great. That's
Like at
great.
one point in time, like less than a year ago, that was in the top 10 for TV recaps in like, it was an Asian country. I can't
That's
remember
funny.
where
Huh,
was,
interesting.
it was like Vietnam or it was like in this area we're talking about.
Huh.
And then it was very popular in the UK as well, too, and
Oh, I
Ireland.
love it. That's
Because not a
awesome.
lot of people covered that show. And we
Right.
were so blatantly liberal about it too that it made people very annoyed, which is always
Oh,
wonderful.
really?
Oh yeah, I'm sure. We still
But
have a review on Daily DVR of some lady who's like, "I'm a stay-at-home mom and I don't have a lot of time to listen to podcasts, but these two fucking liberals."
well,
And I was
what's
like,
so
"Love
funny
you, lady.
about
You love
we
us."
liberals, many of the conservatives on that show are now, I wouldn't call them liberal, but they're definitely
Yeah,
don't vote Republican anymore, like
I know.
frickin' Doug Conway and well,
Yeah,
that one
they all
lady
switch
sure is,
sides.
but a few of them switched sides. Some Ann Coulter did
America.
not, but
Um,
yeah,
That's
that's
true.
funny.
Oh, now back to White Lotus. One thing that I was kind of surprised at was the obsession that what's her name had for Lachlan. Um
Chloe.
Chloe had for Lachlan. She would not let that
She
die.
thinks he's cute. And he was
Yeah.
doing like she's like the little magician's cute.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
it's
Oh,
again
but she
though, the same thing as her and Gary Gregg, right? The older, younger. Now
yeah,
she can flip the dynamic
but
and she can be the powerful.
she did also say that she thought that Gary was capable of killing her.
yes,
We did not bring
Oh,
that up yet.
that's
yeah,
true. Yeah.
Because
That conversation that they had.
when Chelsea was saying she didn't want to cheat on Rick, and Chloe says, "Why would he kill you?" And Chelsea's like, "No, but it would I would feel so guilty." And Chloe goes on to say something about the ones that fall in love, blah blah blah. But then she says that Rick Gary Gregg, she thinks that he would be capable of killing her, but she's just gonna do what she wants anyway. Because I
Yeah.
think was it the last episode that she had said that like he hardly ever wants to have sex anymore and whatever, and
well,
In the
even in
she's
this
beginning, he
one, I
did
obviously
think,
though.
still
yeah,
very young. Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah,
See, that's interesting because I wasn't sure because we know about his background. He seems to be bisexual, but the love of his life was a man. So, well, as that man said. So we don't know if it's really true, but I was wondering if they even ever had sex or it was just a arrangement, like of
mm,
convenience, you know? But it seems that they actually did. So he did
mm.
want to be with her and then pulled away. Did he pull away? We don't, you said something about the timing last time, Gina.
No.
Do we, or
Oh,
remember? We were like, maybe he
yeah.
was already with her when
When
he,
did this happen? We didn't
yeah,
know if this had happened before Italy or after, and now
right.
we know it's after.
Mhm.
Right. So
Yeah,
that wasn't it. It wasn't
right,
like they had a hot beginning and then he had to take care of killing
right.
his wife. But he doesn't seem happy.
Right,
He
and they've
seems
been
very
there in
grumpy.
Thailand for
I
how
think a
long did she
year,
say?
she
A
said.
year. Yeah.
So did he meet her?
Pretty soon after.
Yeah, because it was last summer. So we don't know what
That's
season
right.
it
It could
is.
still be a
We don't know what
crossover.
season it is because I mean
There might have been a
Thailand,
Yes.
little bit,
There
yeah.
could be a
I
crossover
mean
that this is
it
what
may
was
be a
going on.
little more than a year,
I th
but
I think it's actually, well, it's either more, but I think it's springtime right now because she hasn't graduated yet and was doing this
Yes.
to
Yeah.
do her thesis. So it makes me think that they might be kind of Aprilish, whether that's
Oh, could it be a
maybe
year then? Then
it,
it could be that, yeah,
had been some crossover
yeah, he
between
was, yeah.
I thought
Chloe and
maybe she still had a whole year of school left and that they were going back for, but I guess it's not because
no, I think
it
she's
probably is spring because Lachlan is a
it,
senior in high school
deciding where to
still.
go to college.
Yeah.
Right. He got into both places. He needs to make a decision. So I think this
Unless it's the fall of the following year.
Either way, it only matters. The reason why it matters, right? I think the reason for me is because, and maybe you all think something different, is if she's involved somehow and she is still playing kind of a game. Because we had talked about
mm,
that last week that Chloe could potentially have been involved and no, and they're running a scam too
I don't
in
think she
some
was
way.
involved.
But this episode made me think less of that. You know, it made
mm,
me think more so. She did just meet him. She knows he's not on the up and up, but it was exciting. He's rich. She could
yeah.
travel, and she did it, you know? But it does seem like a long time to keep staying there, right? Like,
Well,
you
and
know, it seems like the party's coming to an end.
supposedly they met in Dubai as well. So, I
Yeah.
mean, these people with money.
Yep.
Um, yeah.
Next week, our podcast will be in Dubai
So
at the
did Greg
Burj
Gary
Khalifa.
go to Dubai after he went or after he was in Italy and then
I
went
don't
to
Maybe.
know.
Thailand next?
Well, I do want to, before I forget, I want to read some of our Facebook comments that are great. If you go to Daily DVR, TV Film Podcast over on the Facebook, that's pretty much the only place where we are on social media. I deactivated all of our Twitter accounts. Fuck you, Elon Musk. It's just nasty being on Twitter. Anytime I went there, it's like I'm barraged with all this right wing bullshit that I just deactivated them all. I did join the Blue Sky, but then my kind of taste for scrolling has gone down in life. So I have not posted over there. But anyway, go to the Facebook, and a lot of great people had some awesome comments, starting with the amazing Kevin Centazzo. I was internally applauding while Sam was waxing poetic. This is mostly about Sam Rockwell's monologue. I was internally applauding when Sam was waxing poetic. It's great when TV can be quiet and subtle and at the same time grab you by the lapels and shake you. That's White Lotus in a nutshell.
Yeah.
Kevin Centazzo, ladies and gentlemen. This guy's amazing. Kimberly Ann says, such a great monologue. I question how many takes they took to complete the scene.
That's
Probably just let him
interesting.
go. You know what I mean? Like I feel like with those guys, they probably did. I'm sure that I haven't read anything about it, but I would say they try to shoot one as close to the written word and as close to what Mike White wants, and then you kind of let the actor do it. Then you do one or two for fun, but also it's in different parts, you know? So I would have to watch it again. It wasn't one take because they were cutting back to Walton
Right.
Goggins, but the camera looked pretty similar. So perhaps they were following, it could have even been a computer program, like following the same progression each time. So kind of Rockwell knew where he was. Like that's the blocking is where the camera is as he's talking. But that's a good question. Michelle. Oh my God. Michelle Amiano. The first girl I ever asked out on a date. Not
Oh,
even joking. My Facebook friend. She's awesome. Great episode, great scene, so well done. Walton Goggins' reactions in this conversation were spot on to what I'd think anyone would have in reality. Loved it. The pool scene was also really well done. The mood really came through for me. This was a turning point episode for me where things are really starting to unfold. Dig it.
I agree with that.
Danielle says, I need to watch. Always loved Sam Rockwell. He had a good conversation with the guys on the Smart List podcast. Do either of you listen to that?
Mm-mm.
No, I don't.
No,
I haven't listened to
no.
it. But thanks for that, Danielle. Royal. I'm going to go out on a limb, Axel, and say the monologuing of the millennium. Jesus, that dude is talented. True, true. And Paul just left a GIF or a GIF, I still don't say it right, of Walton Goggins with his mouth open, going,
He was
oh.
mesmerized, as were we.
But you know
Mhm.
what? You know, want to know something? That is half the monologue. And I'm so glad that he put that picture there because it's not just funny and what the great acting, but it reminds us that while we're watching it, we're brought in by his reaction. Reacting and just watching someone talk is such an important part of acting. And Walton Goggins is so good at listening to people on camera, right? He really, like, I remember back in The Shield when Mackie was giving them orders and he was always like, yeah, boss, yeah. Like he made you, he pulled you in. So that was awesome. Any commentary on any of that, Jenni or Gina?
I thought somebody had said in there that his face was basically doing what all of us were thinking, and I can't find the comment
Oh,
that
did I
said
miss
that.
any? I thought I saw them. Well, sometimes
Um,
Facebook does hide some of these. I did
it
all
did.
comments.
Um,
Kim, Michelle, Danielle, Royal, and
but
Paul. That's all I
but I
see.
yeah,
Interesting.
I can't find. I swear I saw it earlier, but anyway, it doesn't matter. His face, like you were saying, in what we see in that GIF or GIF or whatever you want to call it, it basically does express what all of us were kind of thinking, like you're just taking it in and you're just
Yeah.
like your mind is kind of blown. You're like, wait, what?
And
Trying to take it all in and make sense of it and everything. And it's just, yeah, it was a very good scene.
amazing. Great comments. Thanks to everyone who commented on the Facebook page. We appreciate it. Yeah, that scene was amazing. And yeah, Goggins, man, that reaction was so great. And especially too, because like he's all tense, he's picking up a gun, he's nervous, and plus he thinks he's gonna get maybe a little wasted with his buddy. You know what I mean? Like lubricate him a little bit for the job, make it easier. And instead he gets this. He didn't know what the fuck was going on. So he's like, oh, that was amazing. Is there anything else that we did not talk about that we want to cover? And I'll see, we don't have too many people watching us live on the old YouTube, but they will hopefully watch later. Or maybe I have to let me refresh it there to see if where we're at. Maybe I should just start looking on my phone on it. It probably is less taxing on the oh, there we go. I have to pause myself. I don't want to hear myself talk. But yeah, I think that's about it that we got. Let's see. I guess one thing I did want to say is who was it? Um, was it Jack? Kate, Carrie Coon's character.
Lori.
Lori, I'm
Right.
sorry. I had mentioned her taking her shirt off, of course, but her character, she just really let loose. It was kind of good to
Yeah.
see her have fun, wasn't it?
Hmm.
Like I actually,
Yes.
that's like a fun part of the episode that I kind of didn't bring up, but she was just all smiles at that club, and when they were dancing, she was just like arms up, she
Yeah.
was
That's great.
really, she was
Feeling
just
it.
letting go,
She
you
was
know?
feeling it, feeling
And
It
herself.
it was
Valentine said
really,
she was a sexy dancer.
she
Hmm.
was.
Yeah.
She's gorgeous, man. She kind of reminds me of my wife.
Oh.
Just that kind of classic beauty. Um, so shout out to my wife. But anyway, it was beautiful to see that part too, because her character is progressing. Maybe she's not kissing her sister, but she is progressing and letting go. And you know what I'm saying? There's a progression there too.
What do you think she's
and
going to think the
non-attachment.
next morning? Do you think she's going to figure out that Valentine? Do you think Jacqueline is going to
That's
be
the
so
question.
bold as to have him sleep over and
Yes,
come out of
Yeah.
the room
100%.
when the other women are up and waiting?
Yep, yep.
Yeah. She's kind of a
Wow.
little shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks for bringing us down there, Jenny. I was all excited, and you reminded me what happened at the end of the episode. That's going to really break her heart.
Oh, dude, it was so
Um,
funny though. When they cut to her in bed. Well, she was like dancing her way into bed, and then we went to
yeah.
some other scenes. And when we
Yeah.
come back, she's like laying face down on the bed, on top of the covers, head to the side, snoring. And then it pulls away. The camera pulls away, and then she reaches around, and scratches her butt.
Loved
And
it.
then, we go to Jacqueline and her phone buzzing, and it's Valentine to be let in. And fuck me, she says. It's
Yeah.
like, really? Ugh.
She is an all-timer, Carrie Coon. I love her.
I can't
Leftovers.
wait to see her in, what do you call it? It's coming soon, right? That
Gilded Age?
HBO, yes, thank
Oh,
you.
the
She
Gilded Age
is.
season
Oh,
3.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, I
yeah.
love that show.
Yeah.
I
So
love it.
great in that.
That
Such
show
a
is so
different
good.
character than this
Yeah,
one for sure.
totally.
She runs the show. She
That's
is
what I was telling my
unbiddable.
wife because I
Mhm.
was
Oh,
like, she was like, "Oh, she's always kind of nice and everything." I was like, "You got to
mm,
watch the Gilded Age," because I think
oh,
she was thinking of her in Ghostbusters too, where
oh.
she was that too. I was like, "Wow, she gets a lot of." And her husband is Tracy Letts, the playwright and
Oh,
actor
yeah.
and
Yeah, I
writer
saw
as
that.
well. Yeah, just something came out today. He got hired to write. There was a remake of something, but it's pretty big,
Hmm.
and he got hired to write it. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. Okay, because I think he also does a lot of ghostwriting.
Okay.
So he's a really good actor too. You recognize him when you see him.
Yeah. Something to check out is Patrick Schwarzenegger and his fiance just did like a totally risque photo spread for Skims, that Kardashian brand, which now everyone is trashing because they did a
I'm
photo
gonna
shoot
say,
on a
aren't we supposed to
Tesla.
be boycotting them?
But
The Kardashians strike again.
I saw these pictures. I mean, they also had Nicola from Bridgerton do like a big
Oh,
spread.
okay.
This
Well, I
was
might have to check it out.
pre Tesla fire dumpster shoot, but there are pictures of Schwarzenegger and his fiance. Some are very risque. So if you're interested, check those out. I was like,
He's
oh,
not
what's this?
bad. He's pretty
Oh,
easy on the eyes.
Yeah. Are you kidding me? He got
I mean, his
that guy.
character, I cannot stand his
right.
character.
Yeah,
Like, I just want to punch him every time he's on. I was glad to see him so wiped out with whatever drug they had them on because it was entertaining.
it was.
Because,
It
like,
Yeah.
was.
he was
He
not
was
himself,
childlike. Yeah.
and I prefer him that way.
What was
He
it he
really,
said at one point? I don't do drugs. I am the
The
drug. And
drug,
yeah,
I
that was
was
yes.
like,
awesome.
I
That was
kind of love
awesome.
that.
He really did get the best of both of his parents. Like sometimes you look at a kid and you're like, this could have turned out not right. And he got the best of both of his parents way better.
When, Chel-
Um,
when Chelsea tells him, just don't be weird.
that's difficult.
Yeah.
But the way he reacts too, see, that is why this character, I feel like that there's a depth that he's playing this character to. He's not always this aggro asshole, right? Like he plays the part to get what he wants. He's manipulative, but he's not always like super aggro aggressive. And he'll let himself be made fun of a
But
little.
his philosophy is people want to be
Yeah,
used,
I
which is
agree. It's
Yeah.
also,
manipulative. It's
I mean,
manipulative, but
I
it's
I think he is going to have some type of Walter Goggins Rick moment where he's like, uh-huh.
I want to
Like
be my brother fucking me.
stuff is going to just
But wait, I
come
am
down
my
on
brother.
him and he's going to be mouth opened, awaiting fly to
Yeah,
fly in,
something else is gonna fly in.
dumbstruck, you know? So I hope
But
we see that moment for him.
people
Yeah.
want to be used, but I don't think he counts himself as one of those people. I
No,
think that like he has like some kind of classification system for people because he doesn't want to be used, but maybe his brother's going to
Well,
use him.
yeah.
It's very, because I mean, but it's very interesting. I mean, we find in our culture now people who are obsessed with this alpha, beta bullshit.
Yeah.
And you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
which of course scientifically does not exist among humans. But if you want to make yourself into a dog, dudes, go ahead and do it.
Well,
You don't
and
know science, but it's okay.
yeah.
Oh,
That
Lord have
and
Um,
that
mercy.
whole people want to be used. I was worried for the girls for a minute because he's like, let them get messy. And we'd had that like display of consent with Belinda and Porn Chai.
yeah.
And then I was like, this is like, I feel like he is a non-consent type of guy. And I
Oh,
feel
Mhm.
like he's forced girls into bad
you
situations
think?
before.
I would
Yeah.
I would say that's
That would
definitely,
not even
yeah. I'm
surprise me a
agreeing
little
with you
Well,
bit.
I was worried we
100%.
were going to see it. Like, I'm not
Yeah.
surprised it's already happened, but I was worried for
Well, that's the drug thing though, right,
Chelsea.
Gina?
Yeah.
That's like that's part of the thing he's saying. Don't get too fucked up, get them
Yeah.
fucked up.
Yeah.
That's like the old trick when you give everybody
Groupie some
shots. Here,
girl.
girl, take the
Yeah.
shot. And then you go like that. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
that it's like that it's we've seen it in films so many times
Oh yeah.
before. He's this character. And he'll get his comeuppance, which I think we've kind of figured is going to come from his own brother,
Yeah.
which is very strange and weird, but so is life in the White Lotus, ladies and gentlemen. I don't think, was there anything, there was something else in the back of my mind, but it wasn't super important if I can't remember it now. But I think this is a great conversation. Jenni, anything else to add?
Not that I can think of. I mean, we haven't seen the owner, the male owner at all, and we haven't seen the female owner in a couple of
Yeah, Stritala.
Stritala. Stritala. We haven't
Stritala.
seen her in a few episodes, so hopefully we'll get to see them in the next episode. Other than that, I can't really think of anything.
Well, we might only get to like 11 a.m.
Didn't
of the
see
next
Greg or
day,
we
the
didn't
next episode.
Yeah.
we didn't see Greg Gary. We heard about
Mm-mm.
him, but we didn't see him, and
Yeah.
we had thought we would see him or whatever his plan was for Belinda this episode, but we
Yeah.
did
Ooh.
not. So,
Oh, we will, I'm sure.
Yeah.
mhm.
All right.
Also, the fact that Belinda feels concern adds to, remember back in the first episode when Zion was he
Yes.
Yes,
was
Good
so
worrying about his
job.
like,
mom.
because it
Good
was
Yeah.
job.
weird. It's like, dude, your mom's here working. Like, it hadn't connected yet. Why? I mean, we knew that something was happening, but like, why was he so concerned for his mom?
Hmm.
Now we know why he was so concerned for his mom. So we have that piece of the puzzle. I like getting the
Interesting.
pieces.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
All right.
Gina, anything else?
I think we're
No.
good. I think
All
we've
right. Thanks everybody for watching. If you watch this on the old YouTube, please do hit the like and the subscribe and all that stuff. You can find us at dvrpodcast.com. You can become a patron at patreon.com/dvr. I'm going to try to figure out how to do this for patrons so this early comes up to you, but I've been just kind of putting a link in there for the first one, but I'll figure it out as we go on. Thank you, Gina. Thank you, Jenni. Much appreciated. Awesome ideas and thoughts today. We will be back with a Severance podcast on Monday because it is the finale and we want to let it all percolate. And Gina, you're coming back. We want you. Don't you want to come back for the finale?
Yeah, yeah. Let me know when we're doing that because I also have to like go sign my taxes.
Oh, okay. I think it's
Monday
probably
sometime.
around the Monday noon to 3 or such.
Okay.
Well,
All
and
right.
and and that lets people know when we'll be back on the old YouTube too. I don't know if at some point I'll actually put up like, hey, tomorrow we'll be live at this time. That might help people. I just realized that
Okay.
people do like to plan
S-
things in life,
They
so I
do.
will do that.
Also, so for people who are just listening to the podcast who might want to watch it on YouTube, what's the YouTube channel name and how could they get to the
Yeah.
YouTube video to watch?
Well, thank you, Jenni. You can click through to the show notes on the podcast, but you can also just search DVR Podcast Network and it'll bring it up. The we don't I think we have to have a certain number of subscribers to have a like unique URL, at which point I'll probably do like DVR pod or something like that. But thank you. Yeah, go in the show
Cool.
notes And we have there in the show notes too links to Gina's podcast, Handmaid's Tale, coming back. Her episodes will be a little late, but they'll be there eventually. And that's all. I'll end it there. Thank you, everybody. And wait, can I end the you? Wait. Oh, wait. Hold. Can I stop? Oh, look, I can stop YouTube so we can still talk. So I can stop YouTube and the podcast at the same time. Here we go. Bye, everybody.